Well, a very good morning. We've still got people coming in. Do grab a chair, move them around. There's some chairs at the back here, over in the corner. Feel free to grab them and put them in a group. I'm Motorhome Matt. My mum was very cool, and cruel, I should say, and gave me a really horrible first name from the Motorhome Matt podcast. And I'm delighted to be hosting the stage here today. We have a brilliant presentation coming up next. As you know, Steve and Lindsay Radford are here to talk about Morocco. Now, did you know they've been together for 20 years in January, married? That's a long time, isn't it? And Steve proposed in an Indian restaurant. He's such a romantic. He actually feigned dropping his napkin, went down on his knee to pick it up and proposed. Ah, he's listening to this backstage. I've got some other fun facts which I'll share later on about them. But would you give a very big Campout welcome to the roaming Radfords?
I've got a little bit of extra detail to add to that romantic proposal. Not only was it an Indian restaurant, it was the all-you-can-eat curry buffet on the Sunday.
Of course it was.
The romance never ends. I don't know where to put my drink.
On the floor.
Yeah,
Put it on the
I'm
floor.
going to kick it over. Please, just assume I'm doing it as part of the act.
Thank you for joining us. Look at that, we're a great crowd.
Lovely to see everyone. There's a few faces that I saw at yoga this morning.
Right.
Thank you for coming along and having a stretch with me.
So
I feel a lot better.
Before we kick off, I'm going to let you into a secret. Lindsay hasn't seen this presentation yet.
No.
Okay, so you're seeing it for the first time, as is Lindsay, okay? I put some slides together to help tell the story about our trip to Morocco.
Yes.
And that's what this is about. Did anyone follow our trip to Morocco on video? Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Lovely.
So, a little bit about us, first of all. Steve and Lindsay Radford of the Roman Radfords. We have a YouTube channel to share our travels in our motorhome. And it's about, we're going into our 5th year now, aren't we, of sharing our travels.
Yes, and we have 3 sons as well. Our eldest is 18, we've got a 16-year-old, and George is bombing around on the inflatable thing.
Right.
And he's 12. Although at the moment, he's just had a big growth spurt. He looks like really tall, doesn't he?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We have had motorhomes for 18 years.
Yeah.
Our first one,
Yes.
a Pilote.
We actually saw one just like that in Paris a couple of weeks ago, didn't we? Yeah.
Yes.
Steve came home from work one day and said, I've had a brilliant idea. And not only of that, I've already bought it. And he came home with a 1989 Pilote. And it was a bit damp and a bit smelly, but it really introduced us to this lifestyle, didn't it?
Absolutely, it did. We loved that thing. We loved it. And we enjoyed it for a year or so, and we wanted something bigger. Didn't have enough money to get into a bigger, newer motorhome.
No.
So we got a wobble box, which gave me an excuse to buy a Range Rover as well.
Didn't have enough money, but we could get a Range Rover.
Well, yeah.
Second
I
hand.
justified it. I got it by you anyway, didn't I? Yeah. And we had that for a few years. Now, our holidays in that were very, very different than holidays now, where we parked that at local campsite for the summer, didn't we?
There was a local campsite to us. It is absolutely beautiful and pristine, and they were still allowing tourers to go and stay there. And we were there with friends. We all had caravans and tents, and we were in the area. And what we'd do every morning is open the door and release the children. And we were there, and we were, bringing our friends up, and we were building that village community to really bring children up. And it was lovely for a year. And Steve kept popping off to work every morning.
Absolutely.
It was just 5 miles from the house, so it was lovely.
So it's a different kind of holiday with a caravan. If you're going to go to a campsite for a week or 2 or 6 weeks like we did for the summer, caravan is the best.
Yeah.
But we wanted to get into more road trip holidays, which is what we do now in our motorhome. So I got us into our first rear lounge motorhome, and we enjoyed some good travels in that. And I think this one here was our next one that we started touring Europe in, okay?
We've always liked the rear lounge because we're travelling as a family of 5. So having a space, more than 2 areas, it was more important to us to have 2 living spaces so whoever needed to get away had somewhere to get away. So sometimes it was the children, sometimes it was the adults, but there's always someone who needs a little bit of distance from the rest of us, usually one of the kids from the others, to be honest. And that has worked really well for us to this point.
Right, and then we got into this one here, which is our first A-class.
Yeah.
And that was great until we needed to go away when my niece came over from Australia, and I just said, come away on our travels with us. 5 berth, 5 travelling. So I had to get rid of that one quickly, and we got our first Kentucky, which we loved.
Yes, this was the dream motorhome. You know, when you're first getting into motorhome and you go to the show and you have a look at all the shows, that was the one we wanted.
That was our dream one, that wasn't it? And that then led us into what we got now, which is our 874, which we love, which is just parked down here if anyone wants to see it. Okay.
No, don't go in it at the moment.
Isn't it?
We've made the buzz nice and tidy, but
So
we can only have one tidy space at once.
Right, so
the van's not.
So that's a little bit about us, a little bit about our motorhomes, but we're here to talk about Morocco. We travelled in them motorhomes all around the UK, but we wanted to break out into Europe. Now, in the last year alone, we've gone as far north as Denmark, Norway, Sweden, and as far south as Morocco.
Yeah.
For the summer. And that's what we want to tell you about, our Morocco trip. Hi, George. Hey. So, our Morocco trip, we headed off to Diddley Squat Farm. Anyone been to Diddley Squat Farm? Right, and so many people I've seen on social media had, and we hadn't. So, on our way down to get down to Morocco, that was our first stop.
Yep. Lovely camping and caravanning club. It's not a resort, campsite.
But you definitely want to probably pre-book that one.
Yes.
That is right next to Diddley Squat. It's literally a 2-minute walk for that site. Good site. Definitely worth a visit. But we're here to talk about how we got down to Morocco. So we got a ferry down to Spain, first of all. And you'll see there on the map, we could have driven down France, and that would have taken 2 days of solid driving, which I've done before. But now we've taken the ferry, it's so much easier, and it's literally less than 24 hours. You go to sleep, you wake up, and you're in Spain.
And the breakfast restaurant. Instead of going to the buffet, if you go into the restaurant, it's much nicer. Same price.
There it is.
I don't know.
So we did a run down Spain. We took 2 days to get down Spain. Halfway down, stopped at an air. Airs. Now, who knows what airs are? Does anyone use airs? Okay, quite a few of you know what airs are. They're often free, like this one, or inexpensive stop-offs, aren't they?
They're basically car parks, and some have facilities and some don't.
Right.
And the price will reflect that. So sometimes you could be on the edge of a village, just in a nice car park, and sometimes you could be under a medieval castle that's all lit up and beautiful, and maybe you'd be able to empty your toilet, maybe not.
But this was one with services that we had there, and then we got all the way down the bottom, stayed at a free air at the beach.
Yeah.
That's what we woke up to. Absolutely fantastic.
Free airs actually tend to be our favourites.
They are, yeah. So ferry down to Spain, 2-day jaunt to get down Spain, and then we ferry to Morocco, all right?
Yes.
The way we went into Morocco, we did get hassled by customs.
We wouldn't recommend this route to anybody ever going again, would we?
Go the other way. We went this way because it was the cheapest, and I'm a cheapskate. We
went into Ceuta, which is the Spanish enclave on the African continent. What we'd recommend is going in through Tangier Med. It looks beautiful, pristine. Everyone who's gone through there has been really happy.
And less hassle than we had. They ripped the place apart, they did, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. With a really smelly dog. Really smelly.
But then, first stop off in Morocco, wasn't it? So it was a bit of a strange one, but it had a pool.
Yes. What we found is, in summer, the campsites seem quite tired. And they're probably not. They're probably just dusty. But compared to what we're used to when we're traveling Europe, when we've got the lush green grass, and there are people there all year through whose job it is to keep the place looking nice. In summer, in Morocco, it's quite hot. And not many people go to Morocco in the summer.
Oh, you're going to be seeing that coming up. Absolutely.
It was very much the off-season. It would probably be like going to Butlins in the 80s in the winter. So tired and just needed a bit of a spruce up and a clean.
But we're always looking for campsites with a pool. If you followed us on YouTube, you'd know that. Yeah. Something for the boys to cool down. Next stop off was Rabat, which that's the capital, isn't it? Rabat?
It is. It is. I think it's about the 4th capital that Morocco have had. And we absolutely loved Rabat.
We did. First Medina we did, wasn't it?
Yeah. It felt very modern. So it looked quite old, but it felt quite modern, especially as we travelled around to the other cities and went into their Medinas. Rabat felt clean and pristine, and there was no hassle.
We loved Rabat.
It was very modern and very forward-thinking, as we call it.
We own a business, and we make YouTube videos on the road. So Lindsay has to stop and do the accounts from time to time, do the VAT return, pay suppliers, deal with staffing issues. I've got to edit and we shoot videos. Generally, when we go away, Georgie, how are we doing? Generally, absolutely. Generally, when we go away for the 6 weeks of the summer holiday, I'll generally make 22 to 24 videos during that time, whilst driving for 5,000 miles and enjoying a holiday with the family. So it is work for us doing it, although we do very much enjoy it.
I know, poor us. Poor us. What a terrible job.
Now, Casablanca. Tell me about Casablanca and the free walking tours.
See, we did a free walking tour. Have you ever been on a free walking tour?
Anyone done free walking tours, have they?
Yeah.
Okay.
The great thing about free walking tours is you get a local guide, they take you to the most interesting spots, they tell you the stories, they build the history for you, and they do it for free because they're earning their money through tips. So the better they are, the more money they earn. So that's one of my top tips whenever you go to a city.
Every city's got free walking tours. We
Pretty
do them
much.
every big city.
Milton Keynes doesn't, though.
Okay, every big city.
But Casablanca, if you're on a limited time schedule, skip it. It's famous because a movie was named after it, and it's got the most beautiful mosque. It is fantastic. I think it's about the 7th largest in the world. It was the largest at one point, now it's down to the 7th largest. But apart from that, it's a business city.
Right.
It's not somewhere with tons of exciting medieval history that you can just go and see when you're walking around. So I wouldn't, if you're on a tight time schedule,
Skip Casablanca.
skip Casablanca
Yeah.
and go to, where are you going next?
Nothing wrong with Casablanca, but
No,
there's so
it's-
much more. See, she hasn't seen these slides. She's
I
no
don't
idea
know.
what's coming next.
Oh, the seaside. Okay.
We were driving and trying to find a stop off this one. We were driving too late. I don't like driving in the dark. And every stop off we were finding was just full. We were on Park for Night and it was just heaving, wasn't it?
It was Throne Day, so it was the anniversary of the king ascending onto the throne. So it was a national holiday. Everybody, all Moroccans, had gone to the beach. And we were driving and driving. There was no street lighting on the roads that we were on.
Absolutely.
And it was pitch black.
My
and
eyes aren't like they used to be.
We were just getting a little bit stressed about where we were going to stop. And we saw, literally in the headlamps,
Of a
we
motorhome.
saw the reflection of a motorhome, or our headlights reflected in the side of a motorhome.
when you're looking for a park up and you see another motorhome, it's kind of like,
Safety in numbers.
so
definitely.
yeah. So we pulled up there and spent the night there, and we woke up, and I made a new friend. This guy here was selling the bread,
Yeah,
isn't it?
bread and fruit.
And this was amazing. This was one of our favourite stop-offs. It was just impromptu. Then the next day we went on the beach, and we were sat next to a couple, and we smelt their food. We smelt their tagine, and we said, "Oh, that smells nice." We hadn't spoke to them. The next thing we know, they sent a tagine over for us. This
Yeah.
is what the people in Morocco are like.
They were so happy because we were obviously the only Europeans on this stretch of
Oh,
beach.
yeah.
It was the middle of nowhere.
Right.
It wasn't anywhere near the big resorts. And we were the only Europeans for probably hundreds of miles, and they could sense that we were
Isn't it?
motivated
Isn't
by
it?
food.
So that
and
was
sent
lunchtime.
The tagine over. It was lovely.
So this was lunchtime. They hadn't spoken to them. They sent a tagine over, okay? This is the evening. We went out to eat at a restaurant, and as we were ordered our food and was waiting for our food, another table sent some fish over for us. We're like, what is going on?
Maybe they thought we were really cool because I wasn't covering my shoulders or something. I was only wearing a vest. But I don't think it was that. It was genuinely the
Wasn't it?
most hospitable
And
set of people we've ever met.
The
They were
title of that
wonderful.
video is "This is the Morocco we've been looking for."
It was.
the kindness of the people was just absolutely amazing, isn't it? So campsites with pools is what we like. We try and find campsites with pools so the boys will cool off. We've got air conditioning in the van, but I don't want to turn that on. They'll sit in the van. So I prefer to find somewhere with a pool so we can cool off. And this was one we found with a couple of pools, wasn't it, George? Yeah?
Yep. Right on the seaside as well. There was a beautiful view.
So, and then making memories and making videos. This is one, you know, we're making memories for these kids. Do you remember this stop, George? With the swing? Yeah?
A lot of the campsites are actually areas that belong to hotels. So the ones that are owned by Moroccans tend to be hotels. This was owned by a French couple.
Absolutely,
And it
yeah.
felt more European in style. So if you can see on the reviews when you're looking at them, if you're looking for a little bit more comfort, then you might want to look for some that's mentioned that the owners are Europeans. It's not a comparison, except that we found, on the whole, the European-owned ones were just a little more European standard. And we were quite happy in the Moroccan
It was
ones
good to
as
get
well.
a
But
mix.
every so often you just want...
Good to get a mix, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Some familiarities and what have
Yeah.
you. So that was then on our way to what's coming next, Liz. What's coming next? You have no idea, do you?
I'm going to say Marrakesh.
Yes,
and
you're
I was
absolutely
right.
right. Marrakesh. Oh my goodness.
Now, Marrakesh is Marmite. We know people who hate it, but we absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
We parked 5 minutes from the main Medina, and in the evening, we walked into town, and it was hustle and bustle. There were if you enjoy that, it's fantastic. There was lots of fruits. All the fruit looked amazing, didn't it? There was loads of fruit stands.
And they're all trying to call you in. Come on, come on, come on.
Yeah.
So now this is the square the next morning, but you've got to imagine what was in there. Pop-up restaurants, snake charmers, monkeys, which we weren't too favourable about.
No, we don't like that.
But
No.
the hustle and bustle in that square, and we was there till about 11:30 at night.
Yep.
Then we went back to the van, 5-minute walk away, and the two eldest, who would have been, how old were they then?
17 and
15 and 17, said, we want to go back out. And we're like, you crack on,
Sure.
boys. They went back
Yeah.
out for a couple of hours, you know, and that's how safe we felt. Because people
Yeah.
said, hey, does Morocco feel safe? Yes, Morocco felt safe.
Yeah, completely safe to us.
So they went out for a couple of hours more, didn't they? Back
Yeah.
into the hustle and bustle. Honestly, you just need to experience that. 24 hours is all we had there. And then the next morning we went in, and this is a square all empty. And we sat up there and had a coffee, didn't we? And looking over what's going on. 24 hours was long enough. We enjoyed
Yeah.
Marrakesh, but...
I think about 6 o'clock, it turns into hustle and bustle again. The pop-up restaurants appear. It just goes mental, doesn't it?
Oh,
And the salt
and it's
on
great-
all
it's
the
great to
senses.
experience.
It smells fantastic. It sounds amazing. There's drummers, there's music. Oh, it's just brilliant. You have to experience it.
So then we went and spent a few days, still in Marrakesh, just northeast of Marrakesh, lovely campsite.
Yes.
And one of the few campsites that actually had a bar. Because
Yeah.
alcohol is pretty much a no-no in Morocco. You can get it, but you almost have to go to these backstreet stores, or if it's a supermarket, you have to go around the back, and it's like really
And
bizarre.
they call the area that the alcohol's sold in the cage at the supermarkets. You have to go into the cage
Right.
to get it.
But this had a bar, which was just the only one we found, the only campsite with a bar. So we was ordering wine to the pool, weren't we?
But again, it was a European-owned campsite, so it felt very different.
Yes,
Yeah, we were happy to spend a few days there, not just sleeping there, weren't we?
totally. Oh, look, I have an error on this. Look, the E's come round there. God, we're going to have to fix that, Michael.
Wazarat.
Wazarat. So
Yes.
going further down. Now, this was also a Moroccan-French, I think,
Yes.
wasn't it, owned, this one. Again, it had a pool. And look
Yeah.
how far away from the pool we were,
Yeah, such a long way. Had to roll over.
isn't it?
And a lovely restaurant on site as well.
It's inexpensive. Morocco it's financially so inexpensive to do. So we was eating out most nights, wasn't we?
Yeah. It was too hot to cook.
Too hot, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a few seats around here. Guys,
there's-
if anyone wants any seats, there's
The
some
further
seats.
south and into the country we were going, the hotter it was getting as well.
Right, absolutely.
And this is about where the air conditioning started to fail.
Absolutely. So this is a UNESCO site that we had to go and visit. Eight Ben Ahadou, if that's pronounced.
Ben Hadou, yes.
Hadou.
It was fantastic. It has been the set of so many films. I think Gladiators, Indiana Jones,
Yep.
loads of sets. And we were walking around, and there are Berber people who live there and are happy to share their experiences, share their houses. We had a lovely tour, didn't we?
Absolutely.
Of a house, a Berber house, a traditional Berber house.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Look, I've got another error here. We're going to have to fix this, Michael. What are we doing here? Now, I want to show you here. This is what we found. Nobody goes and does Morocco in August. It's too hot. Many campsites are closed, and if they're open, we were the only people there. Look at that
Yeah.
empty campsite,
Completely empty.
wasn't it? But we needed electric for the aircon. We wanted to keep that aircon running, and we wanted a pool, and that was the main thing. So, we campsite to ourselves, pool to ourselves.
And again, this was a hotel with parking spaces
with
for
parking
motorhomes
spaces.
and the lovely pool.
And actually, this was the time the aircon broke.
Yeah.
The air conditioning in most motorhomes is good up to 40 degrees. Over 40 degrees, it can fail, and it did for us. It did for us.
Yeah.
I'll tell you how hot it got in a minute. But yeah, we're over 40 degrees here. Dad's Gorge, I'd seen this one. I wanted to drive this one. Look at that road. I wanted to take our 9-metre motorhome up that road, and it was exhilarating. That's not what George called it, though, was it, George?
I read my book a lot of the way. Once we were at the top, it was lovely looking over, but as we were going up and the cliff was on the side where I was, it was quite hairy. And the hairpins are very hairpin.
They're tight.
They're tight.
But we did it. We did it. Stopped at the top and had a bit of lunch.
Yeah.
We always compare. It's hard not to compare stops. I don't know if you guys do it, but if you're doing so many stops, it's like, well, what's been your favourite one? What was our favourite one? And I think we all look back at this one here and said this was probably one of our favourite ones. We stayed here for a couple of days.
Yeah.
Down the Todra Gorge.
It was an oasis area within the gorge, so you can go up and drive through, but there's also an oasis area. And what I learnt while I was there, no, I'll wait, because I think that'll come, actually.
She doesn't know what's coming.
I don't know what's coming.
She doesn't know what's coming.
I'll come back to remind me later if I need to tell you a story.
So I put this one in here to tell people, because we did post that we're at the Sahara Desert, and people are like, that's not the Sahara Desert. That's the Sahara Desert, believe it or not. It's massive, the Sahara Desert. Yeah. People are like, no, it's not in there, it's in Egypt, it's in wherever. No, it goes all the way across and touches into Morocco. And when I was doing research for where we're going to go in Morocco, we came across Mazouga. Oh, my days. Yeah. So we drove our motorhome to the Sahara Desert, deep in there, and it got up to 48 degrees.
Yeah. The aircon had no chance. Absolutely.
People thought we were mad. We were at a campsite that could accommodate hundreds of vans, and there was 2 vans there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. So we went. I don't know if anyone's seen this one here, but this was a great video. This one in Mazouga. And when the boys were little, we'd go to theme parks for them and stuff like that. They didn't want that now. They wanted to go get buggies and go in the desert, and that's what we did. And it was amazing to do with them. And Lindsay knew nothing of this. Lindsay's just relaxing at the pool when we went off in the buggies. Yeah. And she had no idea what was to come. But this is a great video, but honestly, everyone come out unscathed, okay? But yeah, I let our 15-year-old drive, and he rolled it.
What numpty lets a 15-year-old who's only ever driven a golf buggy around an American RV sales place?
Great thumbnail for the video, though.
Oh.
Everyone was fine. And also, Eddie had just passed his test before we left, didn't we?
Yeah.
And we went on 4x4 and the guy let me drive. And I said, can I let my boy drive? And he let my boy drive as well. Yeah. Eddie just passed his test, and he's driving a 4x4 through the Sahara Desert.
Yeah.
That life experience we give him, wasn't it? And we stopped at the Bedouin camp and had tea. And then we had these guys that were doing the dancing and what have you. That was a great day, wasn't it?
It was. It was a lovely day.
So Mazouga, if you're going to do it, get down to Mazouga. But it's the time of year that most people do Morocco. Would probably be October, November time.
All
December.
The way through to March, April.
Don't do it in August if you can help it. But it's the only time we had 6 weeks to be able to do it with the kids off school. So now, and like I say, campsites were closed. This was a lovely one. This was. We turns up at this campsite. It's completely closed, and I saw a lady in the house next door, and I exchanged a bit of broken English, and she rung her brother, who owned the campsite, and they opened the campsite up just for us, didn't they?
I am going to give that little story that I started. One of the things he taught me is that the oases, the lush green ones with all the date palms, actually started along the caravan routes, because people were traveling along the caravan routes in ancient times, eating their dates, and then they drop the seeds. So anywhere there was water, those seeds that those original people doing the caravan routes, bringing the goods up and down, where they dropped them is where the oasis and the green date palms grow. And some of his date palms were ancient, weren't they?
Absolutely. And he was so proud then to show us the next morning, to bring tea for us and show us his garden, which was absolutely massive. This big oasis, wasn't it? So there we go. Closed campsites. Now then, this one's going to bring back some memories. So we were at a campsite here, and we were in the pool, and this gentleman you see here with his young daughter just struck up conversation with Lindsay, or tried to.
Yeah, I started talking to the little girl, really, because, you know, we've got kids, we've got to talk to them. And Mohammed and he was speaking French. I was speaking English. We kind of managed to communicate a little bit. He invited us round for lunch the next day.
That is
to his house.
the kindness of strangers in Morocco. That was such a touching video, that one.
Yeah.
And he was so pleased to welcome us in the house and cook us a meal for lunch, wasn't he?
He had 4 beautiful daughters.
Honestly, Moroccan people were just
Hospitality was
so
amazing.
hospitable, weren't they?
Yeah.
So, and the food as well.
Yes.
You know, I said before, it's inexpensive, so we're eating out a lot. The tagines and what have you, eating out at these wonderful restaurants. And the kids nowadays, that's what they want to do. They don't want to do theme parks anymore. They want to do a nice restaurant now, which is great for us.
Yes, well, Eddie's got a new tip. He likes to go to TripAdvisor and find whatever has got the most stars. But what we realised is they're very good, if you've eaten there, they're very good at encouraging you to leave reviews. So you can't necessarily trust them.
Oh, that was that way in particular,
but it was
wasn't
very
it?
good. It was very nice.
And then we throw a bit of history in where we can. Find these UNESCO sites, throw that in. Now, if this was in the UK, you wouldn't be able to walk up and touch this.
No, there are probably more Roman ruins exposed that you can go and have a look at and walk around completely free there than there are in Rome. It's lovely.
Then on to Fez. Fez was an eye-opener for us in Fez. I found we were kind of like deep into Morocco for weeks, and then I found this campsite with a complex.
A water park.
Yeah, with a water park complex, wasn't it? And then we took a taxi into Fez.
Yeah. If you ask me which was my favourite Moroccan city, I would always say Marrakesh. Fez was interesting. It felt more sinister, I thought, a little bit more.
All the corridors, there's hundreds and thousands of these tiny little corridors. It's massive in the Medina.
There's no map of it either.
Oh,
no
you get
map
lost
of the
in
Medina.
there, wouldn't you?
So easy to get lost.
And that leather tannery we went to see as well, down the
Yeah.
bottom right there.
You could smell the tannery before you saw it.
So we did Fez. All this, guys, we're doing this all in 1 month, by the way, okay?
Yeah.
Then on to Chef Sharon. Now, I've got to say, we failed at Chef Sharon, didn't we?
I think we'd just been on the road and too hot for just a little bit long.
It was very, very hot.
Yeah.
And we went down to Chef Sharon, but we were kind of like,
We were also a little bit sick as well. The tummy bug had finally kind of caught up with us, and we'd just been a little bit sick, and we were a little bit hot, and we need to go back and do Chef Sharon again, because it is the most beautiful
Absolutely.
city. It's blue, it's gorgeous, but
Yeah.
we were just a bit
we've got a
kind of-
taster. We went down there for an hour or so, and then we were like, and we just moved on, didn't we? And we wanted to
Yeah.
find somewhere a bit cooler. The weather
Yeah.
was getting to us really, really hot. And this is the kind of camping we do as well. This is a hotel car park,
Yeah.
okay? But it had a pool.
Yep.
And it had electric, so we could run the aircon. And there's me cooking outside on the shelf I put on the side of our motorhome. No pitch to set up, but that was good. Cooked us some food, swam in there, got the aircon running. That was good for us for the night, wasn't it?
Yeah, we needed to recuperate a little bit.
Now, I said about the border crossing.
It's mint tea. That
Honestly,
is
it's
definitely
mint tea.
mint tea. One of the things you'll appreciate when you go to Morocco is how many people want to share a mint tea with you. And it is delicious. It's absolutely lovely.
Right, so we had to bring some home. But getting through the border crossing, we were like, oh, my God. But we were
the dogs
fine.
there might have been quite smelly dogs, but they were well enough trained to know it was mint.
Absolutely. And then we found out, got through the border. We thought, oh, we'll just get through the border quickly. We were hours getting through that border. And they tore the motorhome apart. I had to empty everything.
Yeah.
I think they've got the ump because Spain has still got that bit of Morocco.
We were going through, it wasn't just that we were going through the border, we were going through the Morocco-Spain border.
Right.
On the African continent.
Right.
And it took us hours.
And then I found a little park up for the night. And then on to Gibraltar while we're down that way to pop into Morrison's and get some fish and chips, as you do.
We needed Marmite by this point.
And then on to probably one of our favourite campsites ever.
Ever. Yeah.
Mariposa Libre. It was a Dutch couple, isn't it?
Yes. Up in the mountains in Spain, so away from the coast. It was beautiful. We love
Honestly.
Dutch people.
Oh.
If ever you need help when you're in Europe, you'll know who they are because they're taller than everybody else. But ask a Dutch person because they've usually been there first already. And they're so excited to talk. and
They've
share.
got our dream. We'd love to own this campsite here, wouldn't we, down there?
Yeah.
Have that. But anyway, we're back on to Spain now, and there are a few more campsites on the way up. But we were here to talk about Morocco, and I hope you've enjoyed listening about a Morocco trip. And if anyone's got any questions, we're happy to take any questions about Morocco. Thank you, guys.
Thank you both.
Thank
Give them a
you.
round of applause.
Oh, we've got a question here.